What really happened between Faith Evans and Tupac Shakur on that infamous night? After decades of swirling rumors, denials, and countless speculations, Faith Evans has decided to finally break her silence. And what she has revealed may forever change the way we view one of the most heated rivalries in hip-hop history. The 1990s were defined by the East Coast versus West Coast feud, a bitter rivalry that gave rise to some of the most iconic music in rap history. At the heart of this conflict were two of the genre's biggest legends, Tupac Shakur and the Notorious Big, but while their diss tracks and public disputes took center stage, another story quietly unfolded in the background. A story involving Faith Evans, Biggie's wife, and one night that would become the subject of endless speculation. For years, Tupac claimed that his connection with Faith was more than just professional, and his allegations added a deeply personal layer to an already intense rivalry. Faith, however, has always maintained her innocence, but now, for the first time, she's sharing her side of the story. What really happened between Faith and Tupac, and how did that one night change the course of hip-hop history forever? Stay tuned, because the truth is far more complex than anyone ever imagined. A hip-hop rivalry fueled by drama. To understand the weight of Faith Evans' revelations, we have to step back into the 1990s, a decade when the hip-hop world was consumed by an explosive feud between the East Coast and West Coast. At the heart of this rivalry were two iconic figures, the Notorious Big, representing the East Coast under Bad Boy Records, and Tupac Shakur, a West Coast heavyweight under Death Row Records. This wasn't just a battle of beats and lyrics, it was a cultural clash fueled by media sensationalism, personal grievances, and escalating tensions between rival record labels. Diss tracks were exchanged, threats were made, and the music industry found itself divided along geographical lines. Caught in the middle of this storm was Faith Evans, a rising R&B star and the wife of the Notorious Big. Her soulful voice had made her a standout artist, but her connection to Biggie placed her squarely in the crossfire of this bitter feud. The tension reached a boiling point when Tupac began publicly targeting Biggie, accusing him of betrayal and even implying that their rivalry had spilled into personal territory. And then came the bombshell. Tupac claimed that he had been intimate with Faith Evans, an allegation that shook the hip-hop world to its core. For Faith, this wasn't just an attack on her character, it was a claim that would follow her for years, overshadowing her career and complicating her personal life. The East Coast versus West Coast feud was already volatile, but Tupac's allegations added gasoline to the fire. It wasn't just about music anymore, it was personal, and Faith Evans found herself thrust into the spotlight, her every move scrutinized as the public tried to piece together the truth about what really happened that night. Her side of the story. Faith Evans has consistently denied Tupac's allegations, but for years, the rumor mill kept spinning. Now, for the first time, she's sharing the full story of what really happened that night. According to Faith, her encounter with Tupac was purely professional, or so she thought at the time. Faith explained that the meeting was supposed to be about music. She had been invited to collaborate on a track with Tupac, an opportunity that seemed too good to pass up despite the ongoing feud between Tupac and her husband, the Notorious Big. As a young artist eager to grow her career, Faith says she saw the collaboration as strictly business and didn't anticipate any ulterior motives. However, as the night progressed, Faith began to notice that the atmosphere was more tense than she had expected. She described feeling out of place, surrounded by Tupac's entourage, who seemed to be watching her every move. Faith insists that nothing inappropriate happened between her and Tupac, but she admits that she left the meeting feeling uneasy, sensing that the situation wasn't as straightforward as it appeared. Faith's recent revelations shine a light on her perspective and challenge the narrative Tupac put forward. She maintains that their interaction was taken out of context and that Tupac's claims were nothing more than an attempt to escalate his feud with Biggie. For Faith, the entire ordeal felt like a trap, one that she unknowingly walked into and couldn't escape. Her candid account offers a new layer of complexity to the story, one that paints her as a victim caught in the middle of a bitter rivalry between two of hip-hop's most powerful figures. But even with her explanation, the question remains, why did Tupac make those explosive claims, and what did he stand to gain from dragging Faith into the feud? Tupac's allegations. Now, Tupac Shakur was no stranger to controversy, and when it came to the East Coast versus West Coast feud, he wasn't just playing defense, he was on the offensive. In the diss track, Hit 'Em Up, Tupac unleashed one of the most scathing attacks in hip-hop history. The track wasn't just a lyrical assault on the notorious Big, it was deeply personal, and at the center of that personal attack was a bold claim that Tupac had been intimate with Faith Evans, Biggie's wife. Tupac's words sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. It wasn't just the audacity of the claim, but the timing and context that made it so incendiary. By suggesting he had a personal connection with Faith, Tupac wasn't just taking a shot at Biggie's career, he was challenging his manhood, his marriage, and his reputation. It was a move designed to humiliate Biggie and shift the balance of power in their rivalry. In interviews, Tupac doubled down on his allegations, claiming that Faith had willingly spent time with him and even implying that she had ulterior motives for being there. For Tupac, these accusations weren't just about Faith, they were a weapon in his ongoing battle against Bad Boy Records and everything it represented. But Faith has always maintained that Tupac's allegations were completely fabricated. She's described his claims as a calculated attempt to stir up drama and provoke Biggie, using her as a pawn in a game she never wanted to play. To Faith, Tupac's actions were not just hurtful, but deeply manipulative, forcing her into a narrative that she couldn't control. For fans, the allegations added a new layer of intrigue to an already volatile feud, but for Faith, they marked the beginning of a period of intense public scrutiny and personal turmoil. Tupac's claims may have been strategic, but they came at a significant cost to the people involved, especially Faith Evans. The public backlash and Faith struggles with the rumors. When Tupac's allegations went public, Faith Evans found herself caught in a whirlwind of scrutiny that threatened to consume her career and personal life. For Faith, the fallout was immediate and overwhelming. Fans, media outlets, and even peers within the music industry dissected her every move, trying to uncover the truth behind Tupac's shocking claims. Tabloids ran wild with speculation, painting Faith as either a victim or a willing participant in what they framed as a betrayal. The scrutiny wasn't just about her alleged connection to Tupac, it was about what it symbolized in the larger East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. Faith became a symbol of the feud's messiest and most personal aspects, her reputation hanging in the balance. Faith has spoken candidly about how the rumors affected her. She described the constant questions and accusations as exhausting, a relentless invasion of her privacy that made it impossible for her to focus on her work or her family. At a time when she was trying to establish herself as a respected artist, she found herself instead defined by scandal. Even within the music industry, opinions were divided. Some rallied behind Faith, defending her against what they saw as baseless accusations. Others distanced themselves, wary of being drawn into the drama surrounding the feud. The pressure took its toll, leaving Faith feeling isolated and misunderstood. For Faith, the worst part was the impact on her personal life. The allegations not only strained her marriage to Biggie, but also forced her to confront the darker side of fame, where narratives are shaped by headlines and public perception often outweighs the truth. It was a lesson in resilience, but one that came at a significant cost. Biggie's reaction. The fallout from Tupac's allegations didn't stop at the public. It reached Faith Evans' marriage to the notorious Big, placing their already strained relationship under even more pressure. Faith and Biggie's marriage had faced challenges from the start, with the pressures of fame, constant media attention, and Biggie's own rumored infidelities creating a fragile foundation. Tupac's claims only added fuel to an already smoldering fire. Reports from the time suggest that Biggie was deeply angered, not just by Tupac's words, but by the situation Faith found herself in. For Biggie, Tupac's allegations weren't just an attack on his marriage. They were a calculated move designed to humiliate him in front of the entire hip-hop community. The tension between the two men, already palpable, intensified to a dangerous degree. For Faith, navigating her marriage during this time was incredibly difficult. She has spoken about how the rumors forced her to confront questions about trust and loyalty, both within her marriage and in the larger context of her career. The allegations created a rift that was hard to repair, especially as the feud between Biggie and Tupac escalated. Despite the turmoil, Faith maintained her innocence, standing by her claim that nothing inappropriate had happened between her and Tupac. But the damage was done. The public nature of the allegations meant that every argument, every reconciliation, and every interaction between Faith and Biggie was subject to scrutiny and speculation. The strain ultimately became too much for the couple to bear. While their love and respect for each other endeared in some ways, the controversy surrounding Tupac's claims left scars that never fully healed. For Faith, the experience was a painful reminder of how fame and public perception could infiltrate even the most personal aspects of her life. Setting the record straight. After years of living in the shadow of Tupac's allegations, Faith Evans has finally decided to reveal her side of the story in full. In recent interviews, Faith has shared details that challenge the narrative Tupac painted during their infamous feud. Her revelations not only shed light on the truth, but also highlight the complexity of the situation she found herself in. Faith maintains that her meeting with Tupac was purely professional and that she had no intention of disrespecting her marriage or involving herself in the feud. She admitted, however, that in hindsight, agreeing to collaborate with Tupac was a mistake. "I thought it was just about the music," she explained, "but I didn't realize how deep the animosity between them really was." Faith also shared her regret over how her actions, though innocent in her eyes, were perceived and manipulated. She acknowledged that her decision to meet with Tupac, especially during such a volatile time, may have opened the door for misunderstandings. "I didn't expect my name to become part of their war," she said, reflecting on how the incident was twisted into a narrative that she had no control over. But Faith's recent comments go beyond denial. They reveal a woman who has come to terms with the role she played, however unintentionally, in one of hip-hop's most infamous conflicts. She expressed empathy for both Biggie and Tupac, acknowledging the pressures they faced as artists and the way those pressures fueled their rivalry. For Faith, sharing her truth is about reclaiming her story and correcting the record. "I've carried this for years," she said, "and I just want people to know the real me, not the version of me that got caught up in their feud." Her revelations provide closure for some, but also raise new questions about the motives behind Tupac's claims and the larger dynamics at play during the East Coast versus West Coast era. Faith Evans' decision to break her silence has reignited conversations about one of the most controversial moments in hip-hop history. Her revelations not only challenge Tupac's infamous claims, but also provide a clearer understanding of the pressures, misunderstandings, and personal sacrifices that defined the East Coast versus West Coast feud. For years, Tupac's allegations cast a shadow over Faith's career and personal life, leaving her trapped in a narrative that wasn't her own. By sharing her truth, she's reclaiming her voice and offering a perspective that has long been overshadowed by the larger-than-life personas of Tupac and Biggie. Her story reminds us that behind the headlines and diss tracks, there are real people whose lives are deeply affected by the rivalries and dramas of the industry. Faith's revelations also encourage fans to reconsider the legacy of the East Coast versus West Coast feud. While it produced some of the greatest music in hip-hop history, it also came with a cost: broken relationships, misunderstandings, and ultimately the tragic loss of two iconic artists. In the end, Faith Evans' truth is a reminder that the stories we think we know often have more layers than we realize. Her perspective doesn't just add depth to the narrative, it challenges us to look beyond the drama and consider the humanity behind the music. As Faith closes this chapter of her life, she leaves us with a powerful message: the past may shape us, but it doesn't define us. By owning her story, Faith is proving that she's more than just a footnote in hip-hop history. She's a survivor, a trailblazer, and a voice that refuses to be silenced. What are your thoughts on Faith Evans' revelations? Do they change the way you view the East Coast versus West Coast feud? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from the world of music.